It's the CM Punk stuff. It's Fantasyland. Fucking Fantasyland. There is no way he's the devil. There's no way he's showing back up in AEW. I'm just putting it out there right now. And if it is, God bless him. But I haven't seen a mature bone in Matt Jackson and Nick Jackson's body since this started. I haven't seen them be professionals since this started. Nor was Punk, by the way. Before you start saying, yeah, I told you, they all acted like pathetic children. And they started a cancer that looks like it's starting to really creep throughout the entire company. You have all these big names, but your storytelling blows. You're putting on independent style matches on your primetime television shows on Saturdays and Wednesdays, and you expect people to want to turn in. You're not explaining why people are doing what they're doing. Why is the House of Black attacking everybody? We never find out why they attack anybody. Barely. Maybe if you can read in between lines on Instagram posts, or are they reading in between, or are they doing things working it, or are they doing things talking about what have you? We had an interesting conversation earlier today about a Buddy Murphy quote. You know, I don't know what's going on with the stories. There's no competency in terms of these stories. And CM Punk, yeah, it would be great, but what was his purpose to do all this? What would be possibly the purpose? I mean, first of all, it would be great if you turn him heel. He would be obviously come back as a heel. And World's End is the pay-per-view in the end of December. You would have to think that's when we're going to know if MJF is staying or going that night.
Exactly. Yep.
Which is only 6 weeks away. Or at the very least, if he's a real free agent or not. And then it could be a swerve too. But, you know, we've been thinking, oh, this might be a swerve. This might be a swerve. This might be a swerve. It's going to be so awesome. It's a swerve. AEW never delivered on a good swerve yet, unless I'm forgetting something. Like the Callus thing you saw kind of. I mean, there were some good ones, don't get me wrong. But this, we're imagining all these great big swerves for Tony to do. How many people were thinking this whole Punk thing was a work when it happened? People are in fantasy land. We know what happened. A bunch of children who are supposed to be professionals took this company and lit a match to it, only caring about themselves. They took a match to this company inadvertently, but took a match to this company to feed their own egos. And not a one of them were professional enough to make it work. And quite frankly, it didn't sound like one side wanted to give toward the end of it, and that was the Elite. And then at that point, Punk didn't give a shit what he did to the company or what he did. I really believe he wanted to get fired on purpose. It was I'm either going to make my point across every single solitary week, which he did, or I'm going to get fired doing it. So it was a disaster on what they did. And even if you bring him back at this point in time, okay, that would be amazing. But it's never going to happen, because that would be that these people who have shown nothing but immaturity, stupidity, and ego for almost a year and a half, all of a sudden, they're going to wrap it up. That's not happening, folks. You're in fantasy land. And AEW, I've never said this, if Jack Perry is the devil, AEW is in big fucking trouble. And guess what? It's not going to be must-see TV. And if it's not must-see TV, I'll figure out if I'm going to watch TNA, AEW Collision, or whatever the heck. Maybe even the NWA. The NWA is some good stuff. I heard they're doing cocaine bits. That's my kind of vibe.
They definitely worked that in there. It's groundbreaking by Billy Corgan.
I like Billy Corgan. Either way. So that's my take on it all. It's going to... Don Callis I'd be okay with. Jack Perry would be a disaster. CM Punk is fantasy. And everyone else would be a disappointment. Those are the only... There's the three that we mentioned. For me, this is my perspective. It's those three. Callis, Jungle Jack, fucking Jungle Jack's thimble full of talent, and CM Punk. CM Punk's a fantasy. Callis would work. Jack Perry sucks. And everyone else would be a disappointment, period.